Hello friends, welcome to our cottage in Ireland, but we're out in one of the pastures to one side of the cottage. There's a little row of quite old hazel trees here and a beautiful section of stone wall.
Quick introduction, which I forgot. My name is Susan, and I live in Wild Cottage in Ireland with my partner Tom and our two rescue dogs, Shep and Mimi. We have a small holding for nature. We grow all our own vegetables. We have a natural dyes garden, which is extensively used for teaching and about gardening in harmony with nature, no dig, all this sort of thing. But this here is my knitting podcast. And in this episode, I'm concentrating on one main finished object, which also segues into some wonderful sort of Irish traditional information about Bridget's Day, which is a holiday. It's celebrated on the 1st of February here. It is now officially a bank holiday, but it's been a tradition for thousands and thousands of years, pre-Christian and Christian. So I hope you enjoy this little podcast.
There's Mimi sniffing. So this is a lovely area where there's a fox trail that runs right across there, and I'm sure the martins and all use it as well, and possibly badgers, but the dogs I think the postie is coming. Hold on. So the postman came, so we just had a little adjustment. The dogs are just playing just out in front of me there, so I'm gonna be quiet for a moment, so hopefully it'll pick up the bird song around me. Okay, so I see in front of me there's some willows along here and a lot of brambles, and there goes a wood pigeon. They start looking to mate early in the year, so it's January 24th today. It's Monday, but I see over in that tree is a blue tit, so there'll be a lot of the tit family flying around and different ones, the robins. And yesterday when we came home from our walk, we heard I think it was the missel thrush, maybe. It was one of the thrushes, either the song thrush or the missel thrush, was singing, proper singing. Maybe not quite the full song as they'll sing a little bit more in spring, and the thrush was over this way. And it was really beautiful because it was very much a harbinger, bringer, or herald that the weather the seasons are turning. And actually that segues into what I want to talk about with my finished object. I've knit a shawl. I cast it on the 2nd of January, I think it was. It was the new moon in January, and I wanted to get it done in time for February 1st, which here in Ireland is Bridget's Day. And it's the traditional first day of spring. And it went by the name of Imbolc. And it's Imbolc, or sometimes a G at the end, as the spelling, the Irish spelling. And what that word means, there's a couple different interpretations. It's from, very old Irish. But in general, it's taken to mean in the belly. So it is about the pregnancy of sheep especially. And then, so this is a time when even today you see a lot of lambs start to be born. In fact, like my friend Suzanna has already started lambing here at the end of January. We are hopefully all going well. We'll be there for a little bit in February to help with the lambing, and I've done that before. I did that while she was writing her book, so she would have at least the nights where she could sleep, and because she was lambing during the day and farming during the day and writing the book during the day to a very tight deadline. And that was her Bodacious The Shepherd Cat book, which I think might still be available on Amazon. I think there's a Kindle version as well, but it's a really fun book. Bodacious was an amazing cat, and it's true. It's based on a real animal who was just incredible. So anyway, so some of the interpretations of that word are in the belly, and some say when the milk starts coming, so like as in the sheep's milk for their lambs. So it's a time of spring. And here in Ireland, even though we're so incredibly far north, we're really quite mild for as far north as we are. I think we're on the same latitude as Moscow. So you can really start to see the signs of spring earlier. And so some of the flowers associated with, sorry, I've kind of gotten distracted. So the goddess Brigid is a very old goddess here in Ireland. And around the early Middle Ages. Anyways, she got sort of combined into a saint. So Saint Brigid, who was, there's loads of myths around her that are a combination of the old, pre-Christian deity with this person, Brigid, who may or may not have been an actual person. But she has a lot of miracles ascribed to her, and that incorporate the fact that she is very much at one with the ancient deity, Brigid. And one of the myths is that when Saint Brigid wanted to build her monastery, and she's fascinating, and I won't go into all of that right here because this is a knitting podcast. But one of the things is that when she wanted to build her monastery, which were men and women, they both lived there, so it was very egalitarian, and she went to the chieftain, and who may or may not have been her father in the story, I can't remember. And she asked for some land, and he was like, well, I don't know, how much do you want? And she's like, as much as I can spread my cloak upon. That's how much land I'd like, because the chieftain / her father, the chieftain, was pagan, so he wasn't too sure about all this Christianity stuff. So he said, well, okay, that sounds good. Sure, spread your cloak out. And the miracle was that as she spread her cloak out, it grew and grew and grew and, took up a beautiful amount of wonderful land. So she's very associated with her cloak. She's also associated with fire and also water. So she's got the balance of the masculine and the feminine. She's very much known as that fire goddess. And in Kildare, where her church, her monastery, her shrine has been, there has been the nuns there tended a flame that never went out until the Reformation, and I think it was probably and it was put out. But I think it was it was in the 1900s. I think then it started up again, so that the flame is still tended there. So she's very much a fire goddess. So she's associated obviously with the flame colors. So this is a really roundabout way and not very clear way of explaining. So I wanted to knit a shawl to have ready for Brigid's Day that was very much like the Brigid's flame, and to me the Brigid's cloak, because I just love Brigid. I love the synthesis of the things that she brings together. And one of the traditions here in Ireland is, you make the Brigid's cross, which is made out of rushes or reeds, or sometimes like the hay or whatever, and you weave it and you hang it up over the door frame on Brigid's Eve. So that's the 31st of January. And it brings good luck to the home, because on Brigid's Eve, Brigid is out and about and she's blessing the homes. And that is a really big tradition still today. Another tradition is that you would leave a bit of cloth out for her overnight, and she would bless that, and then that would be a really important healing type of object, because she was very associated with healing and agriculture and like smithcraft and poetry, a lot of the arts and the crafts, and the sheep and cows, and anyway, so yeah. So I wanted to have this knit and hopefully finished so that I could leave it out on the Brigid's Eve. And so I've got it done, so I'm really excited. So this is what I've really been concentrated on. So let's get into the actual knitting. So it's probably blowing out a bit because I'm outside in a new little area. But this, I'll take it off. So the pattern is the Groovy Shawl by someone who I can't remember at the minute. I'll put that on the screen, and everything will be linked below. And now I'm sure I got it as a free pattern. When I looked at it on Ravelry when I started this, just again, I see it's a paid for pattern for $8 or so. But it's a very simple kind of pattern. Basically, so what it's groovy because I'm not sure how well this is going to show up, but you basically have your sections of stockinette and then the sections which are purling. So it's reversible in that way. And you also have, well, this is another reason I love the pattern for it, because I felt like the grooves in it kind of rippled like the flames when you look at flames. And also it has the little edging there along the one side. So again, it kind of is peaked like for flames. And the yarn I've used is Irish dyed yarn, and appropriately the name of it is Bridget's Flame, and it's from Wild Atlantic Yarns. It's on her Neve DK base, which is 50-50 merino and silk. It's a superwash merino, and it's 225 meters in the 100 grams. Now, I got this when she had a sale last year. I will look up and tell you kind of the general price of it. This is a fantastic yarn. So it is, I really love merino and silk. I've knit several things with hers, and also I got one from Corcra, who is another Irish dyer on Etsy. Wild Atlantic Yarns. I don't know if she's on Etsy. She might be, but she also has her own web shop. And if you sign up to her newsletters, that's when you find out about the sales and discounts that she has. And she dyes up in County Donegal. And she always puts a little quote or a poem or something on her label. So this is Bridget's Flame, and she's putting, according to legend, a sacred fire to honor the Irish goddess Brigid was kept burning in Kildare during pre-Christian times. Originally tended to by priestesses, the custom was continued by Saint Bridget and her nuns upon the building of her monastery in the Middle Ages. So I would recommend this yarn. I find it knits up really nice. It's nice to knit with. It washes up. It probably doesn't plump up a whole lot, with the silk and all, but it softens even a little bit more. So far, like, I have a ranunculus knit out of it. It's wearing very well. I have other shawls knit out of it. I do really, really enjoy it. And so yeah, check that out. I'll just show you, and I thought what I'd make sure I'd try to do is to show you the different stages of what hand-dyed yarn looks like, because especially when I was new to knitting, even though I was around hand-dyed yarn a lot because I was volunteering up at the Irish Fibre Crafters shop and we had hand-dyed skeins up there, I didn't understand, like, how would it actually knit up. It was very confusing. So I want to show you, if you're new to hand-dyed yarn, just so you have more references. So here is that yarn in the skein, and you can see it's kind of solid bands of color. I'll actually unwind it, and so then you can see it when it's unwound. So you can see the way the color is playing a bit. So it's solid blocks of sort of the red orange, and then the yellow, and then you have where the colors kind of mix together and you get more of a mid or lighter orange. Then, so I don't have a winder, so I just ball up my yarn. So I have some left. So this is what it looks like in the ball. So when you ball it up, that's how it would look. And then knit up, you have, so in here are 2.5 skeins. So you can see, I think I might need to change you guys around because, okay, so I'm going to try this. Let me try to zoom out.
Editing Susan popping in to announce the winners of last podcast's giveaway. So that was, I think, podcast 16, the 12th of January. The Belle Claire winner is Chrissy Paulans. I hope I'm saying your name right, but I'm going to pop you guys' pictures up on the screen. And the winner of The winner of the trio of minis by Your Wool is Trina Rash. I hope I'm saying your names right. Your pictures are here. Please email me your postal addresses. Email me at wildcottagepodcast@gmail.com and I'll get those out to you. I'm terrible about posting. It might take me a little while, but I will get them to you. And congratulations!
So we were sitting right there in the sun, but the sun has warmed things up a bit, and it's blowing things out a bit. So I've come into just under this little row of hazels here, and so here, see the little catkins? So yeah, the catkins are out now. The ones that are right near the cottage are very full of catkins, and of course there's loads of catkins, up higher there. Under here, obviously when the leaves are out, it's not that much sun, so it's not a real catkin producing place. Anyhow, so this is where we're going to sit together and talk about knitting. Okay, oh, and there's himself. Can you say hi? Hey, here he is. They've finished playing, and I've moved my situation. So I think I have to remember, this is where the actual camera part is. This is a bit shadier, so we'll get to see the colors and all better. So I was showing the nice people the yarn in all its different glories. And of course I've just thrown it back in here, and now we have a big dirty mess. Oh, I hate when that happens, but it's tied up, so I'll sort it. But anyways, if you have yarn barf, this is what some hand-tied yarn barf looks like. I think we're still blowing out a little bit. Let's do this. Okay, then we have it balled up, and then we have it knit up. So here it is. Oh, look, the shadow of it. Yeah, I really want to podcast outside, and I don't want to go in full shade because it's, January. So it's nice to get some sun, but this is a little bit awkward. Anyhow, maybe if I hold, oh, okay, so I'll hold it back. So here we have the shawl itself, and you can see like the different stitches make it look a little bit different. So here we have, I'm not sure if it's showing up because I'm having a hard time seeing the screen, but you can see, so this section here is the stockinette, and then above it is where you're having all the purl bumps, where it's the opposite side, so it's like the wrong side, as it were, your traditional wrong side. And so yeah, so that's the yarn, which I highly recommend her yarns. She has beautiful colors. So to wear the shawl like this, you really get to see sort of the grooves in it, and so you have the little picot, I guess they're picot edging, I guess, and yeah, really, really lovely like this. But one reason, so the pattern, I believe, for the DK, you want to have at least 2 skeins. Now I had 4 skeins of that, and I've had it for quite some time because I bought it last year on her sale, and I always wanted to make a really large like cloak or cape with it. And when I saw this pattern, I was like, well, this is actually really perfect. But with just the 2 skeins, I wasn't getting the size that I wanted, so that I felt like I could really wear it like a proper shawl behind me, which would be similar to the cloak, similar to like, a cloak, British cloak. But what I found is I got really tired of purling a lot. It was fine for as long as it lasted, but when I got to sort of 2 skeins, I was like, but I realized that I really needed to put more in, so I continued on, and 2.5 I found was a nice size for me. And of course then when I washed it, it grew a little bit. Yeah, like ideally, you know, I could have put the rest of the second skein or the third skein on. That probably would have been really nice as well, but I just, yeah, I wasn't up to it, and I can make something else with those skeins. So if you're interested in knitting this pattern yourself, again, I just say, so when I blocked it, obviously I had to, you know, I pinned out the edges, especially because they bunch up. So that brought them out. I think that, and I thought about when I was doing it, but I didn't. But I think if I was to knit it again, which I'm not going to do, but I would probably add one more, you know, cast off stitch to make, I personally would just, one or two more maybe to make because I was trying to go for a flame edge. So that would just probably make it that bit bigger. So that's what I would have done. You know, and again, when you're knitting it, it does roll a bit at the edge because you're knitting stockinette. So what I did when I was casting off, I actually did several rows of garter to make sure it wouldn't roll. And you know, pinning it out in blocking can help that as well. But I just decided, rather than casting off as the directions said, I did a couple rows of garter, and that seemed to be fine. But so I'll get Tom to take some pictures of me properly. But you can see here, and when I blocked it, I tried not to pull out the ridges of the sort of the pearl bump side, so that you could still see the ripple effect of the flames, as I call it. Now on this side you can see where I probably wasn't quite, some of the ones I wasn't quite as successful, because in order to pull out the little picot edges, I had to stretch a bit. So what I tend to pin more aggressively on the garter or the stockinette part. So this is my Groovy DK shawl in the Wild Atlantic Yarns Bridget's Flame colorway. And I'm so excited to put this out for Bridget on Bridget's Eve. Wonderful thing that it's been a campaign in Ireland for a wee while to get Bridget's Day recognized as a national holiday, because you know St. Patrick's Day is the big holiday here, and also that it would be Bridget's Day, which is what most people say too. Like, I haven't heard anybody say really, oh, St. Bridget's Day. I'm sure some people do that, but mostly it's Bridget's Day, because when you say Bridget's Day, that encompasses all of Bridget. So the pre-Christian legends and myths and, you know, sacredness that's around that deity, and then also the saint. So it brings in the you know, the pagan and the Christian, and also she's a goddess that is associated with a lot. I believe she was actually meant to be born up in Ulster, so up in the north, and I believe that she's buried with St. Patrick and Columkill in the north of Ireland as well. So it brings together, you know, Northern Ireland, which is obviously a separate thing now, but it hasn't always been, and then the Republic. So she's, you know, yeah, she's a unifier. And in her monastery that she started, it was men and women together there. And yeah, anyways, there's so much about her, so it's really fascinating. And you know, just, you can Google her and you'll find a lot of things. I'll leave some links below. Anyway, I'm distracted again. But yeah, so that has been successful this year. So Bridget's Day is now a national holiday, or bank holiday as we say, and it's going to be celebrated this year, 2022, the day after St. Patrick's Day. So I believe it's like the 18th. Well, St. Patrick's Day is the 17th, and depending when anyways, I won't go into so it's going to be celebrated with sort of the day after Paddy's Day holiday. And then going forward, so 2023 beyond, it'll be on Bridget's Day. She'll have her own holiday, but they just didn't do it that way this year because it was too short notice, because it's just been approved. And a lot of it is going to be in celebration and thanks for the frontline workers, you know, all that they've done through the pandemic. So Yeah, which is really appropriate because Bridget is very, very associated with healing. And I had thought about, probably would have been really appropriate if I went over to the Haggard there where the three sister oaks are and grandmother oak when I talked about Bridget, because her sanctuary is in Kildare, which is Church of the Oak, because Dara means oak, or like, you know, dairy. That is, it all means oak. And where you see that place name, there is often oak woods. And here where we are, there were extensive oak woods. And we have there's that little remnant of some of the oak wood in the, anyways. And so I thought that would be appropriate to go sit and talk about her there. But so I may refilm a little bit there, or maybe we'll go up there. I know what we'll do, unless it's like absolutely pissing with rain. We'll go up there on either like Bridget's Eve or, you know, Bridget's Day, Imbolc. I mean, some people celebrate Imbolc on the 2nd, which is also Groundhog Day in North America, or maybe it's just the US, I'm not certain. Which again is about seeing how the groundhog comes out, and if it sees its shadow, I never remember this, it means there's going to be more winter or less winter. Anyway, but it's talking about spring. And of course, in a lot of North America, in the northern parts of North America and all, I mean, obviously not like Florida, but the winter lasts longer in a lot of ways than it does here. So I don't know. Anyways, I don't know all about the tradition of Groundhog's Day. I imagine, you know, if it had been a native tradition, maybe that got melded with the fact that Bridget's Day was the first day of spring. So when the European settlers came, you know, was there a combination? I don't know. If you know, I'd be interested to hear that. Okay, anyhow, so that's my FO. This is my only finished object because I've been working at it quite regularly. This is Sheppy. This is Mimi. There are 2 rescue dogs. My name is Susan. I live here with my partner Tom. We are in the west of Ireland, up in the hills of County Clare. And you're very welcome here. And I always forget to do a good introduction. Oh my goodness. There is a long-tailed tit bird, literally like 5 feet away, flying. And where there's one, there's many. And I have a little video, maybe 3 years ago, at when they were fledging, and Tom was just walking along the road and one baby landed on him. I'll see if I can stick this video in here. I've done it before in other of the podcasts. I put that video in because it's so cute. So you may have seen it, but it's like 10 seconds. So
this little thing just flew up to me and onto my hand. Doesn't seem to realize I should stay away. Scared the bejesus out of me. I'll put you back in the tree.
There's another one. It's literally right there. And there's the other ones. Here they all come. Oh no, that's a great tip. Oh, it's right there. I wonder. If you can hear the really high pitched, that's them. I wish I could have focused in on them for you, but they're all around. I don't know what I was saying. Okay, so works in progress. So I actually have, normally I'm a nearly monogamous knitter, but I have actually 9 works in progress at the minute. So I'm not going to talk about them all because but what I have been working on, I finished that with my FO. I've been working on the Elhaz Rune mitts by Elspeth Williams. Yes. She's also known as Curious Stitches, and she has a podcast here on YouTube. And I have them in my little bag by Corcra, who is an Irish maker and yarn dyer here on Etsy. And I'm using some Irish yarns, Irish dyed yarns, from Giddy Yarns, who are two sisters who dye up in Northern Ireland. And this is left over from a Christmas cast on set from a couple years ago. And it is the shortbread colorway. And I've made a pair of socks for Tom with it, and I had some leftovers, so that's the shortbread colorway itself. And then its little mate is this here, which is the tartan that you see on the shortbread box. So I'm excited about these mitts because it's a couple, I'm just starting to do cables. So I have a couple patterns where I'm doing cables, and this is one of them, just a real simple cable. And also it's going to be my first time making a thumb. So I've started the gusset there, and I'll be making a thumb, never done that before. And also there's beadwork in the pattern, and I've never done that before, so I'm quite excited. So this is, I haven't gotten back here out of the sun. Friends, I've knocked my phone off of the stand. I can't seem to hold the yarns so that nothing is, things aren't blowing out. So I think maybe I will change. I'll probably just go in or find another position. So yeah, so if you see me next in another position or inside, that's why, because although this is amazing, yeah, it's not working for showing you the yarns very well.
Friends, I think I'm going to end the video here, and I will continue on with a new finished object and my works in progress in a coming video. Does that sound okay for everyone? Otherwise, I think we might end up with a very long video, and I'd like to get this one up in time for Bridget's Day, which is the 1st of February here in Ireland. So I hope you enjoyed the finished object and hearing a little bit about Brigid, the goddess and saint here in Ireland. And if you see this on the 31st of January or even the 1st of February, set out a cloth for Brigid to bless.